For this mini-sode of Depraved and Debaucherous, we're going to talk about trauma dumping. And if trauma dumping, which is a pretty common new term we're hearing these days, when a guy like myself, listen, I'm an analyzer when it comes to any of the times I've tried to start relationships, initiate relationships. I'm not going to ask what's your favorite color, what's your favorite movie, what's your favorite food. I want to find out how this girl ticks. I want to know what happened to her, because one of the things is, and you can say it's something where it's like, oh, well, why are you trying to find out the negative in somebody? No, I'm not trying to. Like, is there's relationships they went through? I want to know if they are damaged. To be honest, I want to know if a girl's gone through things where she is traumatically gone through, and I want to avoid going through getting to know somebody and realizing, okay, they are damaged. They've gone through some things. They weren't available to talk to me in the first place. Because in some cases, I'm the one initiating the contact. I'm the one that's doing the most in terms of the messaging, in terms of trying to keep the conversation going. And so when that happens, I have that happen all the time. Let's just make that a point. It's not like I get a whole lot of girls, and I'm sure guys out there get the same thing. You get girls that are not going to be that interactive, that conversational with you, that are going to make it where, like, yeah, you might break the ice and talk to them for a little bit, but they're going to be still very kind of a little bit shy, a little bit also almost introverted, and a little bit just hidden, keeping behind the vest. And so I've done one things where, like, because I don't go after the highest end of women out there, but every woman has something that's gone on with them that, to kind of see what they are, what's their heart. Sometimes I want to let a woman be able to go ahead and tell me what happened to her, what she's gone through in her life, and how much love has she given to a guy that she was with that didn't love her back. Because to me, I'm really mean this. If I find a girl and I realize if I could have been the one that was with her when she was that giving, that loving, that offering of herself, like that she was so open and emotional and so loving and made so much effort. I don't want to be the guy that is, after the fact, and the girl can't give that kind of approach again. She won't do that again. She's going to put you through hoops. So when I've gotten tired of going through the fiery hoops of trying to go out and talk to a girl and get close to her, I realized through a lot of research and a lot of reading and through a lot of just interaction that I'm also just getting to the real meat of the matter. Like, so you're single. How long have you been single for? So you had this ex-boyfriend. You were with him for a while. So was it good? Like, was it only good for a little bit? And I'll try to not so much ask questions, but I'll lead her on with, suggestive answers to see if she's going to respond back. Now, that might not be everybody's kind of thing. It might be, you might consider it DLP or manipulation or whatever, but you know what? I want to get into the side and see what this girl is, because I want to find out if she's going to be damaged and she's not going to be willing to give me the effort that I deserve to make me feel like I can compromise, because I want to be able to compromise. I always want to be able to compromise, but I feel like I can't, because I can't find a girl that really is open and has her heart out and is ready to have a guy, treat her really well. And she's going to really appreciate it. I just don't think those girls really exist too much. It's really hard for American girls to get that, I feel like. That's just me. And maybe if I lived somewhere else, it would be different. But in South Florida, this is something we got to deal with. So trauma dumping or intimacy building. So this is the idea, is that there's two ways to look at it. 4 things to consider before disclosing past trauma to an outside party. So healthy disclosure can involve the consent and willingness of both parties to participate. Right. If I am willing to ask the questions about it, I need to be able to be willing to share my own issues that could be considered traumatic, which they are. I've had girls screw me over, and I've had things happen to me where I was manipulated, or I was put down, or I was, ridiculed or whatever. I had a lot of things. So a trauma therapist tells a story in Psychology Today in this op-ed, and she talks about the paradigm shift that we now have to come to view, understand, and relate to trauma. Therapists are provided with more training and education to better support individuals in processing and working through trauma, And lay people are also seeking out information about the nature of trauma and its impact on a human psyche and relationships. Oh, I am one of them. So it's been apparent that we are now more prone to overshare or divulge very sensitive or personal information in the name of being vulnerable with people who may not have earned the right to receive this information, who are not in a place where they can or want to hold space. Right. And you have to realize which women are able to go and do that. Vulnerability is important in building intimacy, which is why I'm doing that. When I make my interaction or building a connection, a meaningful connection, it's a practice that should be done with care and consideration for the well-being of oneself and others. And there's a big difference between disclosing a traumatic event, or an experience on a first date versus with a close friend. So when is it trauma dumping and when is it building intimacy? Now, the definition of trauma dumping is the non-consensual sharing of one's experience, resulting in the other person on the receiving end feeling overwhelmed and ill-equipped to manage and respond to the information received. Right. So if a woman is kind of opening up, or a guy's opening up about his, emotional scars and wounds, that's too much. And that's trauma dumping. Got it. And guys will usually get that if they're friend zone. I mean, how many times do we know where as guys, we've allowed ourselves to be open to listen to the trauma of a woman because of the intent that we have, that we want to go ahead and maybe she'll see us as the better option. And the better option for the guy that she could love has always been right in front of her. But she doesn't understand that. And it's also always interesting about the girls that are friend zoning you and how you are attached to them. And yeah, look, you have hope that you feel like, yeah, this girl will be wonderful. And you can't see how she couldn't be perfect for you. But unfortunately, the reality is she's not. And that's a lesson that's hard to teach young guys out there and young women. You don't realize sometimes that that's going on because of the fact that, okay, the validation, the attention, to be able to have somebody that you can trauma dump us with, that's one thing. But I'll tell you what, the guy gets nothing out of this. And the guy's just basically taking the dump and he's just taking it. And then he's also going to try to offer sympathy, support, help to cope, whatever it might be. And those are things you're supposed to be able to get from a guy. But you should, only be doing that with somebody that you're actually trying to be intimate with, or you're trying to get close with, that you want to be in a relationship with. Not with somebody that you're never going to have any kind of feeling to, that you're completely platonic with. Doesn't matter the friendship. You are feeling like you're offering a lot by being open, but then what is this guy getting from it? Because if a guy hears about all this and he feels sorry for you and he feels compassion for you, he's going to feel love for you. And then what is going to happen? You're going to lead him down, subconsciously, of course, but you're going to lead him down a path where he thinks he's got a chance. And because you're opening yourself up that way. And the other thing, too, is when you're trauma dumping, you need to realize who you're doing it in front of. Trauma dumping is one-sided and done impulsively. When you need to do that, you need to realize if you're not going to give any kind of, you do it with a therapist because you got to pay the therapist. But the other thing is the therapist is actually going to be able to give you quality information or quality guidance to get you back out of what happened to you. And that is always who you should try to talk to first. Don't sleep on therapy. It works. It does. And then there's intimacy building, which is an ongoing mutual exchange of personal information over an extended period of time in which both parties consent and express a willingness to learn more about the other person. Well, and I've tried that too. But it's very hard for a woman to go ahead and consent, where the fact is, if I'm giving back the same level of my own emotional feelings of things and where I've gone wrong and where I've done things that I felt like I could have done better, and learning from my mistakes, there's not a little one who's going to appreciate. They might feel appreciation for you listening to them, but it's not going to be the same way the other way around. Very rare. The guys are not supposed to be able to be that way. Guys would look down upon if we're trauma dumping. But we shouldn't be looked down upon if we are intimacy building, where we show a sensitive side of ourselves, a side of ourselves that we're not going to show to everybody else. That we can actually open up to a woman, we can actually be, much more of that. Those kind of things matter a lot. So I look at that and I say to myself, women, that is where you want to go and be more of an intimacy builder. But the thing is, trauma dumping's fine if you're actually giving it to somebody that can actually help you. And you're not giving it to somebody that's going to be just your cheerleader on your side. Can't just be your sisters. Can't just be your mom. Just can't be your auntie. Just can't be your best friends. Your best besties. Can't be that either. You can't do it with anybody that can't be honest back to you and really criticize. Be really critical of you in a good sense. In a very logical and very realistic sense. That's what you need a therapist for. Don't sleep on therapy. If you have the trauma, don't hold it in. The best way to heal yourself is to not allow yourself to be consumed with the trauma that you hold on to, because then it will make you follow the same patterns to find another guy that'll do the same thing to you. And then you also hurt the guys that are really trying to be there for you. Maybe you're not attracted to them, and that's enough for you not to go and be close to them. That's fine. But then you're also hurting them. You don't realize you are, but you're actually hurting them because they're getting the expectations. They're getting hope that maybe they're going to turn it around on you and be able to get close to you. And then when that uncomfortable moment where they actually share their love for you, and then what do you say? After all this time spent, you're willing to go and talk all about this negativity, and then this one positive affirmation to him to show that he was worth it all this time, that you friend zoned him, and you're going to tell him no? Do you see the damage you're going to do if you do that? You need to cut that off. Build to intimacy. Don't be afraid of that. And trauma dumping you can't be doing because, I want to know because of the fact that I want to be able to go and know that of the level of love that you have. But the thing is, I don't want you to be able to just say, okay, this is what happens to you. This is the kind of love that you give. And you can't give that kind of love again to me. If you can't give that to me, I'm sorry. There's somebody else you should be talking to about this. I have to let you go. You just drop off. So guys, remember, if you're not going to benefit, if you feel you need to be a little bit selfish here, if you're going to allow a woman to go and trauma dump because you want to be able to see what's inside her heart and what kind of loving woman she really is when she's not putting up a barrier, putting up a wall, go ahead and take that chance. But more than likely, you're not going to be happy with what you get. Like, it's a slim to none chance of doing it, which is why I do it. But maybe I should take from my own lessons and just go back and really just go after women that don't have these kind of things and just enjoy life, and they like being a little depraved and debaucherous.